So you're cashing out where you live and you're gonna come here to Myrtle Beach and you're gonna invest $400,000, $500,000 into a new home and you're gonna hopefully retire happily ever after, right? Well, how do you know that there's not gonna be some ginormous Category 5 swirly boy down in the Caribbean that's gonna make its way here to Here are 13 ways that homes in Myrtle Beach are built to withstand the storm. For the first way, we're gonna have to bounce into my computer real quick. Okay, the first thing that protects your home in Myrtle Beach from getting hit by a hurricane and taking damage, it's geography. So I'm gonna hit that first. It sounds weird, but check this out. Everybody knows that storms, you've seen the Weather Channel, right? Everybody knows that the storms generally, if they start down here in the Gulf of Mexico, they start over here in the Caribbean. By the time they hit Florida, and they pretty much always hit Florida, they're turning to the northeast, right? They'll go like that. Now, forgive my bad sound effects. If I zoom in, if I have a storm that's headed this way, right? It has either already hit Florida and has starting to weaken, or it stays offshore and just kind of rolls up into North Carolina, past North Carolina. Now, here you are in Myrtle Beach. Check this out. Myrtle Beach is in a cul-de-sac, right? That protects you. Basically, it's like you're ducking back from any of these storms that are traveling right up along this transoceanic ridge here. This is where the Gulf Stream comes up and it has all that nice warm water. That warm water feeds those hurricanes. So you get a lot of drive-bys here, but you don't get a lot of direct hits. There's only ever been 4 direct hits from Category 3 and up storms in the history of South Carolina since 1851. And that's strange considering this is like legit subtropical. This is Bermuda. You're right on line with Bermuda, right? Everybody knows that Bermuda can get hit by a storm. Over here in Myrtle Beach, drive-bys. That's basically all you get. So that's the first thing that protects you from hurricanes here in Myrtle Beach. The next thing that's going to protect you overall is the 2021 International Residential Building Code. That code, and there's a reason why I'm standing in front of an insurance company here. This is Field Insurance. They've helped a lot of my people. The insurance industry created the building code that South Carolina uses to protect the houses, right? So with that being said, and this Harley drives past me here, you gotta love shooting live. You literally never know what's gonna happen. We got 1 Harley, we got 2 Harleys, and we got a big GMC truck. Hooray for live TV. Anyway, the building code that's in effect here in South Carolina was literally designed by the insurance companies that pay to protect your house. That way, you know that, if it's between having a claim because the building code wasn't strong enough or having a strong building code and not having a claim, the insurance companies are trying to not pay out claims and they don't want you to be happy and they don't want your house to be torn up. So they're the one that actually created your building code because they don't want you, unless it's impossible, they don't want you to have to worry about having claims. So with that being said, you have the most stringent building code in the entire United States right here in South Carolina. Okay, now we're gonna talk about specifics as far as the homes are concerned. Now, with hurricanes, you get flooding, you get wind, and you get rain. First thing I wanna concentrate on is the flooding. And speaking of flooding, check out this this siren that's at this thing underneath 544 here on the Wachesaw River. If that siren is going off right there, like the height level, I guess, my head would be totally underwater on this river. Nope, no thanks. And welcome to my backyard. The wind's blowing a little bit, so the audio is going to be a little muffled. But you're staring at the retention pond that's literally in my backyard. These things are scenic. They have all kinds of animals and wildlife that'll come visit. We've seen all kinds of crazy stuff pop into here. But the real reason that they're here is to help with flooding. Now, when a hurricane comes, it'll dump a gajillion gallons of water up into your neighborhood. And these ponds are here to drain all of that stuff quickly off of the streets. Now, if these ponds didn't exist, what would happen is that water would collect in the streets and start to push its way up your driveway and into your house. And that's a bad thing. The worst I've ever seen it get here, I'm going to intercut with a picture of the little bench down there. The worst I've ever seen it get was about like an inch higher than like where the foot of that bench meets the ground. That's all. Anyway, ponds, retention ponds. They're not just for looks. The more you know. So now I'm down on the Wachesaw River and I'm going to show you the next way to combat flooding. This is the raised foundation. Building code says that if you are, you know, basically in like a hardcore flood zone, like right down here on the Wachesaw River behind me, your house has to either be built up like the ones that I'm about to show you in this little clip here. Now look at this. These houses, there is no way. You remember earlier when I was sitting down and we looked at the little siren about the flooding right up underneath 544? I was right on the river. Look how high those houses are. There is no way. There is no flood short of Noah driving down the Wachesaw River, picking up alligators and all kinds of other interesting South Carolina wildlife that you could possibly ever imagine a flood reaching those houses right over there. There's just no way. Anyway, that's what building code says for a house that's in a flood zone. Now there's an alternate way to do that. And that way is the raised beach foundation, as you can see down here in downtown Myrtle Beach. Gonna intercut a clip. There's some guys building a place down here. You can see that these guys are building the house up on pilings, right? It's brick. In a lot of places it'll be steel. That's probably brick and steel. In a lot of places it'll simply be like the huge telephone poles that they basically sink into the ground. That is by far the snazzier way to do that, and that's so popular. You'll even see that kind of build in places where land is at like a little bit of a premium, and there's not even a flooding risk. Now, that way that I just showed you, that comes with a bonus. You can store stuff underneath your house. A lot of people will park their cars up underneath there, and if there's a flood that's coming, if there's a hurricane that's coming, well, you know what? Just move your car. You're good. So those are the two ways that you can basically elevate your house up out of the flood zone, and that's, you know, obeys building code. Now, point to note, some of you guys are better in MLS than a lot of real estate agents, and there's probably somebody out there right now that's saying, but Lance, I've seen houses that are right on the river or right on the beach that are just built flat. And you know what? You're right. Those were built before they changed the building code. Those guys in those houses, it's great living where you're at, but man, it floods. Guess who's getting all the drywall redone in their house? Anyway, that's that. So now onto the wind. I'm going to show you guys how the wind is handled with the building code here as far as hurricanes go. Now, the simple version of this is your house has more metal than a 1974 Dodge.
It's got a cop motor, a 440 cubic inch plant. It's got cop tires, cop suspension, cop shocks.
Okay, first off, I want to show you guys where the walls are bolted to the concrete. Yes, I said bolted to the concrete. Those metal studs right there, those are sunk down into the foundation. And those metal plates right there, those are called gusset plates. And those hold the walls down. And you'll see as I go down the wall here, you'll see them every few feet. The building code specifies exactly what, where, how, and why. And that's the first way that it's going to stop your house from basically blowing away. It's bolted to the freaking ground. So it makes sense that if the walls are bolted to the ground, that the roof would be bolted to the walls. These metal straps right here, Try to zoom in a little bit. These are called hurricane straps. And those hurricane straps basically tie the entire roof, the foundation of the roof, if there is such a thing, ties it down to the walls themselves. Here, you can see really well right here. Hurricane straps. Code dictates how many you use, what kind, where, how, and why. But your roof is literally bolted and tied on. Now, this last thing that I'm going to show you while I'm inside of this house here, this is, some builders are doing this, a lot more builders are switching to it. What you're looking at here, see this thing right here, this big cable? It goes from floor to ceiling. And see how it's basically holding the wall down right here? This is called a tensioner cable. And that cable helps keep things stable when things are rocking and rolling in the wind really hard. Bonus points, because it also, what it does is it helps stabilize the foundation. You know how, like, when you get a new house and you're, after like a year, they have to come in and fix like all the little nail pops and the cracks in the corners from the drywall settling? Well, this basically, this pre-settles the walls, so it minimizes any kind of cracking or anything like that that happens with drywall. Now I want to talk about windows and doors, and we can throw garage doors in with that. I am in Mr. and Mrs. Pittsburgh's house. As you can see, y'all, your drywall is in. Let me take a quick in the living room and kitchen here. Y'all, this place is going to be amazing. Anyway, there's a sticker on your back here that I wanted to take a look at real quick, just to show you everybody something. So I was hoping to find this somewhere in here, and thankfully I did. So I zoom in on this. You see where it says design pressure right there? That is, whoop, camera's acting freaky. That is the pressure rating that this thing can handle. Now, minimum code says that it has to be a 50. Now, what does 50 mean in real world? A design pressure of 50 means that your windows and your doors, you know, whatever they happen to be rated at, wherever you happen to be standing, can handle a wind gust of up to 200 miles an hour without caving in. So that's pretty awesome. You've got 60s here. So what about your roof? Building code says that you have to have asphalt-based architectural shingles that, that can stand up for 30 years. And that's the minimum. I know when I got our roof redone, we got 40-year shingles, so it is possible to upgrade from there. But the minimum is a 30-year shingle. So we talked earlier about wind. Now I want to talk about rain and impact protection. Now, we talked about windows earlier, right? What about when your neighbor's barbecue gets blown at 150 miles an hour into the side of your house? How does it not come smashing through the window, right? Like, that could potentially break your window. Well, as far as building code goes, every new home that's sold here in Myrtle Beach has to have some kind of protection on the windows. Let me show you something. So every builder has their own way of doing this. Let me show you what Meritage has. For instance, they've got this, and this comes with every house that you get, right? And again, it's not just them. Every builder has their own way of doing things. Here you'll see there's a big bag of these nylon window shades, and you see how it's got, with my thumbs kind of tapping right there, it's got that like nylon bar. There's two of them, one that straps up on top of your window and one goes underneath it. There's little ridges that are already there. And this big long one, that's for the sliding glass door in the back. Anyway, you can tell I'm in a construction zone, right? So you can see where that, that piece of nylon slides in up there, and it'll slide in down there. Now, that obviously isn't going to stop the barbecue from breaking the window, but it will keep it out of your house. That's a plus. That'll stop rain, that'll stop wind from getting in. That will, you know, in that case, limit the damage to your house. And that's what that's all about. Now, every builder has a different way of doing this. Some builders actually have actual planks that they'll just give you. Now, truth moment here. How many times have I ever seen anybody put anything over their windows, any kind of temporary or permanent shutters in the middle of a hurricane? Literally never seen it. I'm sure some people have, but honestly, this is gonna sound strange, but it's never, y'all, I've been here 14 years now. Not once have I seen a storm that bad. So our last couple things are going to deal with protection from the torrential rain that comes with a hurricane. Now, behind me, I'm on a porch here. I'm at Cypress Ridge out in Longs with Meritage. Behind me, you will see a Tyvek wrap on this house. Now, all the wraps, you've seen a house wrapped, right? Everybody knows that. Now, those are water resistant. Some of these are waterproof, and the one behind me is actually waterproof to an extent, as long as it's not, you know, ripped to pieces or anything. Here, I'll show you. So look at this. So this whole house is wrapped in this home wrap, right? Even where the nails come through, there's a waterproof kind of washer on that to stop any kind of moisture from getting in from behind that. And these staples, obviously, it can hold up to those staples. Those are just itty bitty little holes. But, oh, DuPont makes that. I had no idea. Anyway, they'll literally, and again, some builders do this, some don't, but the code is it has to have some kind of protection underneath it. These guys just happen to have the waterproof stuff, not just the water resistant stuff. And one last item here, I'm kind of saving the coolest thing for the last. This house, as you can see from the inside, the walls aren't up yet, but there's something in the walls. That doesn't look like normal insulation, does it? It's not. Check this out. So this stuff is the foam insulation that, that you've read about online. This is an organic foam. So it's kind of like a pillow there, right? That stuff serves a lot of functions. Now, it helps with heat in the winter. It helps with cooling it in the summer. Keeps your power bill down. But anyway, as far as like damage control, this actually has a damage control function. Let's say that that Category 5 storm that's never hit actually comes and hits. So things are getting blown around. You decided that you were gonna, I don't know, go to Charlotte and go do something there, or Atlanta. Anyway, you're not here. That's the whole point. Stuff's up in the ceiling too, by the way. So things are getting blown around in the neighborhood. Something big comes, smashes into the side of your house. A leak starts. It makes its way through the Tyvek on the outside, and a leak starts. So this foam right here, what it'll do, it will actually localize the damage from the leak. So let's say that the leak starts here, right? And it's all the way up there. You've got drywall. You have to imagine drywall on the inside of this house. You know what happens? You'll get a leak and you'll see it spread out and it'll go, and it'll kind of drain down there. The leak will localize. It'll basically, instead of having like a big long trail of water damage going down the side of the wall, it'll actually be like boink, and it'll stay there and it won't move. It'll hold the water right there, and you'll be able to see from the inside exactly where the leak is and exactly where it has to be repaired. So it kind of like, it can't stop the damage, but it'll stop it from spreading, and I think that's incredible. So there are a number of people I want to thank for this, for the input on this video. The first off is Chase with DNA Home Inspections. He understands the building code like nobody else I know, and he helped make a lot of this digestible. I'd also like to thank Mike with Nations Homes, Kaylor with Meritage, Eric with DR Horton, Greg with Chesapeake Homes. Now, as far as my customers, you may have noticed I bounced in and out of a lot of houses here that were half under construction. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Pittsburgh, Mr. and Mrs. Long Island, you know I caught you there in the beginning, and Mr. New Hampshire. So Mr. New Hampshire is a 37-year retired real estate agent. I helped him move down here. And he kind of gave me some motivation to help me keep this going after everything that happened with Sharon. Baby, I love you. So thanks for watching. Yeah, what do you know? I'm a real estate agent too. My stuff, I'm going to put my phone number and my email on the screen here. If you guys got any questions about this video or anything else that you see on the channel, reach out. I'll be happy to answer them for you. With that being said, y'all have a good day.